Okay, let's start off with this then. Final Fantasy IX is going to be 1 week from now. A Song from Her Memory. I think it's been translated into something else. Marcus, new character. Combat 4, Support 4, Celerity 4, Thief 5. They have his level 80 stats up for some reason, so I'm not going to bother looking at those. His last RM is start battle with haste, small attack and defense up. It could be useful in some situations. If you want to run a party with... I don't know, I'm trying to make a case for this. The Heiska RMs are sometimes useful if you want to run a party without a Heiska, and you have other people in the party who have the ability to provide haste to themselves somehow. Whether that be through a Legend Materia 2, like Lightning, start battle with haste in Instacast 3, or a character like... or, you know, the two characters that you start off with, Mako Might and Dr. Mog's Teachings, if you're using both of them to cast bursts, because bursts provide haste. You could make a case for putting this on the one person in the party. I would never think about using two, but the one person in the party that needs haste somehow. Dagger damage 3 and thief damage 9. Whatever, but Echo motes. I don't really know what Echo motes do. I will wait for someone in the chat to explain those to me. You get 30 Echo motes for record diving, Marcus. Is that for her 5-star dive? If that's not for her 5-star dive, then it is not worth spending 4-star motes on Marcus to get Echo's dive. Balance change is actually already in the game. But what does it equate to for Echo's Legend Dive? Is it 30 motes and you unlock everything? Or is it 30 motes and you unlock some things? I want to know exactly. So this balance change is already in the game. Garnet can use light armor, and Garnet can use Bard 5. And that is a very important thing for Garnet to be able to use. Echo Legend modes. Unlocked by record diving Marcus. Okay. Used for a new type of record sphere called Record Link. Okay, so this is what you get. It's only a partial dive. It is not free. It looks like you only get this stuff for record diving Marcus. You still need to unlock all of this stuff for Echo with 100 Spirit and 100 Wisdom Legend modes. So, it's kind of cool, actually, right? Is there any other healers that have, like, their own little sphere thing? Let's consider this part of our Legend Dive. There's no other healer in the game that has 12% white healing. Is it worth using? Probably not, because, yeah. You've got to go up to sphere level 3 on Thief, level 5 on Hunter, and just 1 on Viking. That's easy. But this is a killer. On a character who we're gonna find out, I personally believe he kind of sucks. So, Garnet and Echo receive Legend Spheres here. Garnet, summoning damage, 9%. Is this good for her? Yeah, it's good for her. Great for her. Perfect for And moderate or double sleep resist. Good. Double silence resist and white healing. Yep, perfect. No flaws. I guess that's what we look at when we're looking at Legend Dives is, are there flaws? And there are no flaws in those. Okay, Legend Materia for Garnet and Eiko. Yeah, I know it's what it was a reference to. I just wanted to know what it equated to in Record Keeper. Like, was it worth doing? My opinion is no. Just for 3% increase healing on Eiko? That's a lot of 4-star motes. And they're not so plentiful to make that a good idea yet. Eiko doesn't get double cast. She gets something arguably better. But I'll get to that when I get to that. Now, Garnet gets Summon. SUM attacks deal 10% more damage. That's fine. So Garnet's not a healer. She used to be. They tried to make her a healer or some sort. She's not a healer anymore. Garnet is like a Yuna summoner. Well, Yuna's not even a summoner in global. She is in Japan. Yeah, she's in Japan. So Garnet's trance, which she gets on her LM2. Well, Iris's LM2 is actually just bad Lemonade. Eiko's trance mode is not. You'll see. You'll see why it's not. Right. So he doesn't have 5-star magic, so it's or white magic, so it's a good thing they just turned her into a summoner. Because you really do need white magic 5 to be a good healer these days. Okay, so this is good. Magic and Mind plus 30%, cast speed times 2. It's great. And I'm not going to leave this page because move down 1 box and we get to Eiko's trance. And this is why Lemonade, that Eiko is really good, because she gets cast speed times 2.0, or times 2. Honestly, better than double cast. And a cool thing about Eiko is that her LMR is dual casting. So she can cast speed 2.0 with her trance. And also dual cast at times 2 cast speed. This is why Eiko is considered an S tier healer by me. Because she, like Deuce, is an effective buffer, has a good USB, and is a very effective healer with her Legend Dive and LMR. Okay, so that's set for that. So we'll go move on to the Relic Draw thread. We got 3 USBs, 4 BSBs, 3 LMR, and 2 Super Soul Breaks. Same banner format as Final Fantasy Tactics. And starting out, we have the Holy Rod from Garnet. USB, Trance Summon Rama, Realm or Eiko. Question for later, Horse Protect. I cannot choose between those two. They do different things. Well, 7 times area of effect, lightning non-elemental, summon magic damage, and lightning, party magic in mind, plus 30%. Here's the cool thing about Garnet, is she keeps up the buffing thing that she had going with her BSB2. And this kind of throws sand in the face of Rydia, you know? Rydia gets an N-element USB that gives a party buff, but that's it. Garnet just gets automatically cast Judgment Bolt occasionally. It's just, you know, free compared to Rydia, and that's why when I evaluated the Rydia Golbez banner, I said Rydia's USB is like a USB 0.8. You know, it's missing something. So we're gonna go and see what that summoning thing does for Garnet. Auto Judgment Bolts. So every 3.5 seconds, right? Yep, every 3.5 seconds, she casts a 5.7 2 group attacks damage. It's not a lot of damage, but it's damage. And she does have the Enlightening status, so it's going to be a lot of damage. She's party buffing at the same time, and I suppose that's the important part. And that's why Rydia's USB isn't just bad, because that party buff is always going to be useful. But I'll take, you know, every 3.5 seconds, which over the course of this USB, which is 15 seconds, that's what, 4 attacks? So that's, by casting this USB, you get a free, what, 22.8 multiplier over 8 attacks. It's pretty good. The advantage to using this is Garnet is a buffer that also does a considerable amount of damage because she's giving herself Enlightening. The Enlightening is great because Valley Garmanda. So what you do with Garnet is bring her to a Lightning Mage party, obviously. Is that better than Braska's USB? Does Braska party buff? If so, yes. Adia, I 100 gems Agrias' USB. And that's it. I didn't pull anything else. Well, Ratha with her USB doesn't qualify because they're different types of buffers. They're, at least by my classification, there's primary buffer and secondary buffers. Primary buffers carry a Heiska on their buff. Ratha's USB does that. Ratha's BSB does not. So let's compare it against Ratha's BSB. Garnet's USB is much better. If you're going to compare the two. They could be used together since they don't have... the buffs would stack. But if I'm forced to use one or the other, I'd rather Garnet. And if you're fretting about not having Hones with Garnet's USB, there are ways around that. Because Garnet actually has a great ability pool. Her White Magic 4 allows her to cast Protect Urshelga. She's Bard 5, so she can Allegro Con Modo. Remember that. That is an important one. That Garnet party buffs, and then she has the ability to use Allegro Con Modo, which is a 6-star Bard ability that grants quick magical attacks 3 to your entire party. Yeah, exactly, Strider. I think that's what I would do. Is I'd try to carry Protect Urshelga on other characters, and with Garnet, I would use Ice Chicken or Valley Garmanda and Allegro Con Modo. And I feel like that's an extremely powerful member of a Lightning Magical team. So I'm, you know, when I first saw this banner, I didn't think much of this. But that's probably because I was unaware of the strength of what having Bard 5 would be. I do now, and I really like this relic. So this is a pretty big win on this banner right away for me. Next, we have Excalibur 2, which is a holy sword. One of the 5 million of those. Well, the chicken breaks out of the ice. He's very resilient. Has a lot of willpower. It's like shonen anime. And yeah, he kills people. Okay, so Signer's USB. 10 single target, fire, lightning, ice, physical damage, self-resistance plus 100%, and Shining Knight. Shining Knight is an interesting status, to say the least. It is pretty unique. Enlightened Blade, we're calling it on Enliers. Okay. Called Night of Inspiration mode in the code. Okay. This is what Steiner's USB is about, and yeah, well, I'll just talk about it first. Grants attach fire, ice, or lightning after taking fire, ice, or lightning damage from a BLK, WHT, BLU, or SUM attack used by another ally. So, what it's basically saying is that by using this USB, you're turning Steiner into a multi-elemental character for the 3 primary elements, as long as you have a black mage in the party, because those other attacks, none of them can do the damage types that will be required. So it really has to be a BLK type attack. And in doing so, you can spend a turn with that black mage to attack Steiner after he uses his USB to give him an element of fire, ice, or lightning. And he has access to, since he's a Spellblade 5 naturally, Blazing Quad Strike, Snow Spell Strike, and Thundering Quad Strike. It's interesting in theory. I actually hate it. Because I'm going to draw a parallel to Shadow Dragon. If anyone has fought Shadow Dragon or seen Shadow Dragon being fought, one of the things that you can do, because of the mechanic that Shadow Dragon has, is you attack your own characters. To reduce, a certain person's health, so you can make sure that that certain person gets hit by Shadow Dragon's 10-second Black Fang. At 10 seconds, Shadow Dragon will kill the lowest health member of your party. So what you do is you attack someone, or unless you just want to roll the dice and hope that it happens naturally, or stack equipment on them that allows them to get or take more damage. But that's okay. You don't really care, because you're doing that before 10 seconds, before buffs are active, when everyone's turns are kind of low value. My issue with Steiner's USB is that you have 2 choices. One, you use a record materia that increases his damage output, which means Steiner needs to slowly generate Soul Break to use his USB. Or you can use Mako Might or Dr. Mark's teachings and reduce Steiner's damage output, effectively making him useless. So you can get it off immediately, and then on second turn, activate the N element on him. So I don't like that option, because I hate using Mako Might or Dr. Mark's teachings on a damage dealing character, because it's generally not worth it because you lose so much damage from not using a better record materia. So that leaves us with the option of activating his USB at about, depending on, entrusting and stuff like that, at about 10 to 15 seconds into the fight. Which means you're not activating the N element on Steiner until maybe 13 to 20 seconds into the fight. And that's a problem right there, because you're not really getting all that much benefit, and there's a cost. There's a very, very big cost involved, and that is using a turn on another party member in the middle of the fight at around 13, 15 seconds, which if you're building your party correctly, no one's turn you should be able to throw it away. You shouldn't have to throw away a party member's turn to activate the N element on Steiner. Nobody else has this drawback, so this is a huge drawback. Is it worth suffering this drawback in order to have a character that can hit 3 elements effectively? All he does is N element Spellblade. That's it. It's not like there's any other damage boosts here. It's really actually awful. I think it's awful. Because yeah, he's multi-elemental, but he's not really doing all that much damage after getting the elemental. Yeah, having a healer use black magic is probably the best option to activate it, but I don't know about you guys, but I never have a turn. Unless I'm using a healer that is not fitted for the fight, who's healing more than needs to be healed. Does he absorb the damage? No, he takes it. It does get resistance plus 100% though on cast. Hey. Anyway, I think this is awful. I just wanted to explain why. And it's not just because it's complicated. It's not only complicated, but it's bad. Now, on the complete other side of the spectrum, we have Vivi's USB. Which is a fire staff, 6-star fire staff, just like his OSB. Nice high magic, so it's a good relic. Beyond the Twilight, 10 single target fire non-elemental magic damage and fire self magic and resistance plus 30%. And they weren't using this terminology yet, but it is a black magic ability double. When you use a black magic ability, you use it twice, costing you an extra ability use, but guaranteeing that you dual cast. Super powerful. Turning Vivi, even though it says End Fire on his USB, into an effective character against all elements, because there's nothing wrong with casting twice. Chain Thundaga, for instance, is a 11.8 multiplier by itself. In Vivi's hands, it turns into, let's round it up, to a 24 multiplier. Over 8 hits. That's really, really powerful by itself. I'm not even going to go into Vivi's legend materia. It just makes this better. Vivi has a very good legend dive that adds on to this. So this is completely different from Steiner's USB, but similar in the same time in that it makes Vivi into a very powerful multi-elemental character, and actually just disgusting at fire. He's even better at the 3 elements that are cast through Meltdown. Trigger chases both times? No. Will it always double a burst command? No. You want to use 5-star or 6-star abilities with them. Ability count must exceed 1 in order for the dual cast to happen. Burst commands are considered to have 0 uses. So this is an amazing hit. And Garnet's is too. Not as good as Vivi's. But Garnet's is still a good one, in my opinion. So there's our top end. And that's a pretty decent top end. 2 out of 3. It's unfortunate Steiner's is as bad as it is. And it's a Holy Sword, if you still need that. BSBs. Steiner's BSB 2. 8 single target fire, lightning ice, self-sentinel. Well, I've said it before, I don't really feel like tanks are all that useful in the game at the moment. So self-sentinel is good for the plus 200% defense if Steiner was a Holy Knight or an Earth Knight, which he is not. So he has nothing in his kit anywhere that really helps him damage-wise when it comes to dealing Holy or Earth damage, because those are the 2 elements that Knights can use that would be benefited by Sentinel. So right away, this BSB just looks awful, and we have 2 generic commands, 4 single target and 2 area of effect. This is just a bad burst. Garnet's BSB 2 still has some sort of use. It is a lightning staff, which personally I would kind of like. Because I only have 1 lightning weapon. So I feel like this is kind of a rare weapon class. I only have Garnet's BSB 1, which is also a lightning weapon. Well, anyways, to the BSB itself, party attack and magic 30%. Well, we're at least starting somewhere useful. Area of effect, Imperial Lightning, also useful. Blender is zipping across my room rapidly. I don't know why. He usually does that after he poops. So he's probably just trying to work out. Okay, so burst commands. Single target 40% max HP heal. That's okay. In summoning mode, 2 area effect lightning. Party 25% heal. Seems kind of weak. Just for an every other turn Medica. 4 single target, 5 single target. Let's see what the multiplier is on the 5 single target. Because then I could make a case for it. Otherwise, I think this is just like our USB, where you cast it, you get a buff to the party, you use its residual effects, which is area of effect Imperial Lightning. It's a good effect. It's a good effect. And then you use her to cast Valley Garmanda and Allegro Con Modo. But let's see what the multiplier is on the second command. Oh. 13.1. It's actually good. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be bad. 13.1 is actually a high multiplier. Over 5 hits. And it frees up an ability slot if you don't want to use Valley Garmanda. So you could use Protecka or Shelga and Allegro Con Modo and use her burst commands. Use her as a healer? Like straight up? Well, that is bold. So what do I want to look at? Valley Garmanda's multiplier. What are we losing by using the burst command instead of Valley? It's a lot, I think. Valley 16.5. It's not that. It's something. It's substantial. But you know, Valley Garmanda only hits 3 times, and I've been capping out on my Valley hits. So as long as Garnet could exceed 30,000 damage, just actually it would just be better than Valley Garmanda. Super Soul Break too. Yeah. Yeah, I would use... I think there's probably some outside possibilities for using Garnet as extra heals, but I think the extra heal that I'd be looking for from Garnet would be from her first command used once. And then use this as a damage. But again, Garnet's access to honestly, Garnet's access to Allegro Con Moto is what enables this stuff to be good. It's a pretty decent burst, but I think the fact that Garnet has Allegro Con Moto now just makes her a really powerful support character that can also deal damage if called upon. Honestly, I really like this BSB. It's a decent relic, too. Well, there will be Albedo in 3 days. That's the way it always works, right? Am I crazy? I'm not crazy, right? I don't think I'm crazy. Blender, what's up? Are you done your running laps? Have you worked it out? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Garnet's a really good buffer. Okay, moving on. VVBSB2, Gravity Rod 8 is RS. Don't care. BSB Magic Fury. 6 area of effect, fire, lightning, ice, party, magic, and resistance plus 30%. Well, that's cool. Burst commands, Stitch in Time, and 4 single target. Probably wouldn't use this command, because that's going to be a low multiplier compared to Chain Faraga, Chain Thundaga, and Chain Blizzaga. But I think VV having a party buff, magic and resistance plus 30%, and a Stitch in Time command, which, not Stitch in Time, well, Magic Bargain, got it. Magic Bargain. For another self buff, actually makes this not bad burst. Notice that I will shit on bursts that don't provide anything beyond damage, because most bursts can't contend with 5-star abilities now. But if you bring something else, then you deserve a serious look, and party buff, party buff. I would value Garnet's BSB more, but this isn't bad. It's not, it is just not bad. Eiko. Well, here's another party buff. Well, healer BSBs are kind of exempt anyway, because they don't get railed by the ability upgrade that we just got as hard. So Eiko's BSB, Medica 85, party critical 50%, and burst mode. If there's one problem with this burst, it's just it doesn't have a really good command 1, but whatever. I think in Magicite and in hard fights, I'm just spamming command 2 anyway, so I don't really care. It is nice to have an instant command 1 though. Just there are times where it becomes extremely useful. So, is your claw stuck? There you go, buddy. Yeah, but it's a magic staff. Who do I want using it other than mages? It's not like the ninja 3-star lightning ability is all that useful anymore. This is a good healer burst because it is one of the few, one of the only 2 healer bursts that augment the the damage output of a physical party. You have Eiko and Deuce are the only ones. Deuce does an attack and magic 30% buff, and Eiko does a critical 50% buff. I really like this BSB. And she would be awesome with this BSB under trance mode, because then she's just quick casting out command 2s. It's probably going to be enough to be able to heal a party. Especially if you get her LMR, chance to double cast white magic abilities. If there's an issue I find with this BSB, and this is going to be relevant, because I'm going to compare this banner to one that's in the not-so-distant future. It's the party critical 50%. I would want to use Eiko on a physical party with her BSB, right? But critical 50% buffs don't stack. They're all crit fixes. It sets critical rate to 50%. So if you get another one, it's just going to reset the critical rate to 50%. There's a very prominent crit rate buff. Yeah, Will just brought it up in the chat. It's Onion Knight's Ninja Mode USB that gives party haste, party attack plus 50%, and party critical 50%, all in the same package. And honestly, Lemonade, he becomes a viable healer with that that USB, because he gets an X mode, which turns him into it's called Ninja Mode, where every time he casts an ability, he gets a cast speed buff for 15 seconds. So he actually just uses his USB and rapid fires out Curadas. He's actually a viable healer. And so Eiko's BSB just not in total like healing output, because Eiko with her LMR and her trance mode is going to heal better than Onion Knight, but Onion Knight's probably going to be able to heal a lot of fights, including some of the hardest fights in the game. And if he does so, there is such a thing as overhealing, and Eiko's going to hit that overhealing, while Onion Knight probably won't. And one of the best things about Onion Knight doing that is Kurata is anti-overhealing, because a lot of the healing is an HP stock. So that's why I don't value this as high as I used to, just because of Onion Knight's USB. I value Eiko more for her USB. And the fact that, she record dives to Bard 5, so she actually can't Allegro Con Moto. But she can use the other Bard 5 abilities. Okay, so what do we got in our BSB section? You know, honestly, 2 out of 4 ain't bad. Well, 3 out of 4. Eiko's is good. It is good. It's just, it's a personal opinion. With me, you know, probably going to be investing as much as I am into the Onion Knight banner. This loses something to me. Otherwise, I think Eiko is a fantastic healer. And if you're not using Onion Knight as your buffer for a physical team, I don't think you can do better than Eiko or Deuce. What's the exact wording on that, Asher? Because that wouldn't be... If this did affect white mage use, it wouldn't be the first time that it was considered a tax. For each attack used during the duration of the status. Anyone got clarification on that? I'd like to clear that up now if I was wrong on that. But I still think he makes a viable healer. Because he does get the cast speed times 1.3. Doing that with Kiratas is going to be good enough in a lot of situations. Anyway, I'll wait for that if anyone can provide that. Okay, Legend Materia section, Garnet. Small duration of buffs cast by self. Everyone knows I don't really care for these. The relic itself is confusion resistance. Oh boy. So this is kind of a miss as far as I'm concerned. Echo. Low chance to double cast white magic abilities. That's always good. And with this being one of the better healers in the game, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. That's a very good LMR. Vivi's Hat, I know, is a very good relic. Fire damage up on a hat with 38 magic. It's one of the highest, if not the highest, magic armor in the game. Also with an elemental boost on it. So that's awesome. And here we go with black magic ability, medium damage up, but increased cast time. I'm not... What's his LM1? What are we replacing here? Increases fire damage by 10%. So you'd probably want to be using this when you're not dealing fire damage, which Vivi can do. It's definitely more than a fire mage. But the 10% fire damage increase, I would say, is better than this. Especially because you're reducing your cast time. So what this LMR does is cast speed is reduced by 23%, but your BLK attacks deal 25% more damage. This is a net gain of more than just that 2%, because you're not increasing your ATB. So when you consider from start to finish, your ATB and then your cast speed all added together, that's a turn. And that's what you're adding the 25% damage to, but only the cast speed is increased. So it's really, from start to finish, you're only reducing your cast speed by about 10%, which is about the same thing as increases fire damage dealt by 10%. So what you don't want to do if you've got this LMR is use this when he's using fire abilities, because I can't think of, like, Vivi his fire damage up is so obscene that I can't imagine using, like, even Chain Faraga, but definitely with Meltdown, you're not capping out or close to it anyway. So getting 25% more damage out of his Meltdowns or Chain Faragas is probably not going to be worth losing cast speed. Other elements, though, completely different. And you do want to run other types of, like what Samhataro said. If you can get, say, Garnet, for instance, or another Bard, like Deuce or Sarah, use Allegro con Moto and give Vivi quick cast. Now you're talking, because you're negating the disadvantage of his LMR and just giving himself 25% more damage, which is actually a pretty big number when you're outside of fire. Because in fire, remember, his USB gives him end fire. Elsewhere, he doesn't get that. So getting damage boosts elsewhere was really nice. Because remember, Chain Thundaga, for instance, is going to hit 8 times. His total multiplier is spread out on very many hits, so there's plenty of room to grow that damage up. So that's the interesting LMR that Vivi has. And now we move into the supers. We talked about this, or someone talked about using this as a backup heal thing earlier in chat, and I actually agree with its usage. Royal Gown 13 is RS Small Lightning Up. I never knew that. Party buff. Magic and defense and HP stock 3000. It's actually not a bad super at all. Vivi's LM2 is nuts. Yeah. Plus 30% magic and 50% chance to dual cast black magic. So yeah, I know I've been saying 8 hits, but Vivi has a 50% chance to 12 hit. Meltdowns. Ugh. If he's in trance mode, which you should do. Trance mode would have been the better comparison to make for Garnet's Steiner's USB, where you have to spend a turn in the middle of the fight triggering his USB, where with trance mode you can do that on the first turn. And that's good. That's when you want to do it, because you don't have your buffs. You're not entrenched in your stacking abilities and stuff yet. Trance mode's good. Starting a USB, bad. Steiner's Super Soul Break. Well, here we got a miss. Garnet's Super isn't awful. It's usable, and that's more than I can say for most supers. Steiner's is pretty awful. It is an Imperil Fire, and that's interesting because he can deal fire damage, decent fire damage. But this is a last effort or last resort if you need a fire damage character. If we could remove Steiner from the banner, everyone would be happier. And we kind of get there. We don't totally get there, but we work towards it with this banner. So, on my event list, I have ETA'd for February 21st, the next Final Fantasy IX event. Which has a very good second banner. It's one of the very few cases where I would say the second banner is better than the first. And this second banner is on the new banner format. There's no Super Soul Breaks. It has 4 6-stars. And those 4 6-stars are all really good. We take the 2 best 6-stars from the banner that's coming up next week. Vivi USB and Garnet USB. We remove Steiner's poopy USB. And we add Kuja's USB and Kuja's OSB. Kuja's OSB is a 6-star Dark Rod. Kuja's USB is a 6-star Dark Light Armor. So both fantastic relics before we even get to their soul breaks. Kuja's OSB, higher multiplier if user is doomed. That's really easy and probably what you should be doing anyway with a dark character, so his OSB is one of the best in the game because it has a really easy and, just freebie condition to increase its damage output. So let's take a look at Kuja's USB. 10 single target, Dark Non-Elemental, and Dark, and Self-X Mode, God of Death. Well, that sounds intimidating. Let's see if it lives up to that. Calling it Angel of Death, which is just as good. And then Leers. Darkness abilities deal 5, 10, 15, or 20, or 30% more damage at ability rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you'll want to be doing with Kuja is having your Dark Zone at R5. Which means it's going to do... He has Endark 2 on the entry. You're going to be capping with... You're going to be doing 40,000 damage a turn with your Dark Zones. That's non-negotiable. Here's the interesting part of his USB. So it's not like ability double or anything, but he gets Ultima Final Fantasy IX when removed. So after 15 seconds, it's like Alphino's USB. it casts something when it's removed. Eight group attacks that deal damage for 4.375% of damage dealt with BLK attacks. Dark Zone is a BLK attack, and yes, his Legend Materia 2 is double cast, and that does play into this very strongly, because the more damage that you can fit in during those 15 seconds, the stronger Ultimate Final Fantasy IX is going to be. So you're going to be doing 40,000 damage a turn at least with Dark Zone during his USB. Potentially more, because he does have a 35% chance of dual casting. Kuja just does a lot. And this being spread over 8 attacks, Alphino is... Morbid Countdown, is that the one that reduces your Doom counter by 3? That one's even better, but I don't think you need to. Unless, for some reason, you're not capping out on your Dark Zones. Alright, and... Oh, God. I didn't even think about this. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Final Requiem. Kuja's OSB is BLK. So if he's getting entrusted... Uh-huh. He's firing off 44 multiplier bombs that's also increasing the damage of his Ultima. So say you get off 3. Oh my goodness. It's like an extra OSB. So that's good. Also, remember, Dark Armor. Both of those things that are part of that combo, they're on this banner. So, we did have 2 good relics on the previous banner. That was Garnet's BSB and Vivi's BSB. They both recur here. Kuja's BSB does as well. Don't really care. Maybe 4? I'm gonna buy low, I guess. The 4 would just be, you've won, okay? Take it easy. Yeah, if you could throw Gathering Storm on him and like double entrust to him, now you're really talking. He would carry a fight by himself. Well, with the entrusting. Never forget the entrusters. So Kuja's BSB doesn't really matter anymore. It used to be really good because it has very strong burst commands compared to other burst commands. But they still don't add up to Dark Zone. And not only that, but burst commands are only considered to have 1 use. So if you're using it together with his USB, then you're not taking advantage of the ability rank boost that he gets from Angel or God of Death. Because you would get 5% increased damage, not 30%. So, this is plus 10 magic for Kuja, which, considering the banner, isn't that bad. But I think we found our first real bad, like absolutely 0 gain relic on here, and that is Steiner's BSB. We already know how bad that is. Marcus's BSB, I personally don't like it at all. So that's a bad one. Amarant's BSB, that's also a bad one. So that's unfortunate. We got 3 bad BSBs, but Kuja BSB is 10 match. Yeah, exactly. That's not 0 gain. but consider other Burst Soul Break sections. Consider the Burst Soul Break sections that we have now on our banners. We're already dismissing most of them and saying, please give me at least one good Burst Soul Break. This is at least a banner that has 2 good Burst Soul Breaks on it in VVs and Garnets. I would say Garnets is definitely better because by this point in the game, VV's BSB is probably not going to be useful to a whole lot of people. So let's just say Garnets is the good one. This banner is not without its problems. The Burst Soul Break section, which is expansive, is not that great. But Garnet's BSB is very good, even at this point in the game. And Kuja's BSB is plus 10 magic for basically the guy of the banner. So let's take a look at the LMR and see if they can at least give us something to look forward to if you're not pulling disco balls. Kuja's LMR, Star Ballad and Dark. Yes. That is a good one. That is a good one. Dark Resistance. Kuja doesn't have Wrath or Life Siphon, so what is he doing to build his Soul Break gauge up? He's using Memento Mori and Dark Zone. Yes, please buff those 50% with Undark, and please buff the damage of his USB entry by 80%. Please do that. So that is very good. VV's LMR. Remember, we just talked about this on the current Final Fantasy IX banner. It is good for when VV does any element other than fire. Garnet's LMR. Don't really care for it. And Steiner's LMR. Don't really care for it. Because Steiner stinks. Yeah. So, this is what I'm trying to do here. That's why I transitioned to this instead of going to the second banner. I want to compare this banner to the one we're looking at right now, because it's obviously very, very similar. The 2 bright spots, the 2 reasons that you pull on the banners exist on both banners. So you have to decide. I think it's very similar to the Final Fantasy Tactics banner that we looked at today. What about the other things? Where are the differences? Where are the good parts of the banner that cause us to look elsewhere and weigh them against each other? On this banner, it's Kuja, obviously. Kuja's USB, OSB, and LMR are all like it turned him into one of the highest tier magical dark characters in the game. What do we find on this banner? Eiko. Wow, what was that? I think I swallowed a bug. Which is weird because bugs don't come in here. Eiko BSB, Eiko LMR. Those are your 2 bright spots on this banner that don't occur on the other one. So I'm weighing those against each other. Are any of those bad BSBs plus element? No. Weighing Eiko and her BSB and LMR versus the Kuja banner, I personally will take the second banner 10 out of 10 times. Because I think I don't see myself having much of a use for Eiko's BSB because of Onion Knight. Because I'm going to be investing so heavily in Onion Knight, I'm going to do what I can, and I've got a great opportunity to do so, to work away from Eiko in my pull plans. Oh yeah, Kuja's BSB does do plus, it has a plus dark rod, but you are looking at a banner with a plus dark rod on it. That's 6-star instead. But if you don't have many or need more than just that plus 6-star from the OSB, if you pull one of those, then that's there for you. But I guess I was thinking of Steiner, Amarant, and Marcus. Amarant does have the 32, but I think that's RS Fire. Yeah. So I like this banner better. And I have, this is on my pull schedule. You know, it's subject to change, but I got my eyes on this banner. Which is important to target certain banners because it allows you to make better decisions when it comes to festival time. Because then you can decide, all right, is it a good idea for me to pull on this festival banner to remove future banners from contention? Or is it better to not pull on this festival banner because I would pull things on this banner that wouldn't remove a future banner from contention, but would just give me dupes on it? Like, say... No, Garnet's BSB wouldn't be bad. This is a plus lightning staff, and I wouldn't mind more of them. Like, if I got Garnet's BSB 2 in if it showed up on a good banner in the festival, and I was able to pull it there, it would not affect these pulls at all, because I will take at least 3 Garnet BSB 2s. ETA on this, late February. If I've got Kuja's USB, there's no way I'm using his BSB. Right. Okay, so that's the first banner and its future counterpart. Late February, for the Final Fantasy IX Kuja banner. And December 7th for this one. So obviously that's something that needs to be taken into consideration too. We are getting 4-star Magicite before that banner hits. If you're in a rush to complete those and you are looking for, you know, Kuja or Vivi or Garnet to help you do that, you would have to wait. But I'm comfortable waiting for that because I think that's a really good banner. It's going to be hard to make that a bad banner with future things. You know, whether through the Epi festivals or banners that may come out later. Okay, so I want to continue on. Sorry. Banner 2 of this event. Zidane's USB. 10 single target, random wind, non-elemental, Imperil Wind, and Self-X Mode Master Thief. I really like this USB. Because I think it makes him... combined with his Legend Dive, a high damage and also a character capable of Imperil Winding, which is well, not just capable, but he Imperil Winds with the USB, and then his Master Thief allows him to have a chance of Imperil Winding more. So honestly, I really like this, and there would be a win for me. Kuja's OSB. Just went over it. It's good. Yep. Steiner's OSB. Steiner's OSB is probably the best part of Steiner. It's just Tri-Elemental OSB, and it has a high multiplier when exploiting those elements, which is really good. If there's a problem, and there is that Steiner's not really a good character, and it takes a good character to make an OSB good. I think you need either some form of Imperil or End Fire from Steiner to make this OSB good. So you're removing 2 of the elements on it and 2 of the things that makes it as good as it is. So it's really just a Fire OSB, but can be a stopgap Lightning or Ice OSB if you need it. Which, ice damage is kind of rare. So that could be something. But anyway, went over Marcus's BSB on last banner. No, I didn't, not that much. But I will go over it more here. 6 area of effect, Wind Bio, and Magic and defense minus 50%. So Marcus is a debuffing support. This is, you're not expecting to get a lot of damage out of this. But here, I mean, right, he's just a debuffing support. So he can magic breakdown or armor breakdown at short cast time with his commands. This is like a poor version of Vaughn's BSB, which really says something. The difference is Vaughn's BSB is non-elemental, while this is wind and bio. So you can exploit weakness and do a little extra damage. But Marcus doesn't really deal all that much extra damage because he's not a damage dealer. And it being a debuff thing means it's not really suited for the current game state. Zidane's BSB 2. 8 random and wind? Why random? Okay. The problem with the Zidane's BSB 2 is that both of his commands are single target. So really you're just using it not for the damage output, but more for the buff if you can make use of that. I think it stacks too slowly unless you legend dived him. And I'm not going to legend dive Zidane with his BSB 2. I'm going to legend dive Zidane with his USB. And if I've got his USB, then I'm not using his BSB 2. So not that swell. So I don't like Zidane's BSB 2. Kuja's BSB is fine now because it Imperil Darks. But the burst commands are, you know, less than stellar. But now we're looking at more Kuja stuff on this banner, as Kuja LMR shows up here too. So this is a heavy Kuja banner with some Marcus Super and Beatrix Super. There's not a whole lot of good on this banner. The good stuff on this banner exists on the Kuja banner that's coming. On a better banner with Garnet and stuff. Like, I will take Garnet and Vivi over Zidane's USB, personally. Zidane's USB is the best thing on this banner. The only good thing on this banner. That doesn't exist on that other. The future banner. That future banner is the best things from banner 1 and 2 of this event. That's my takeaway from this. Other than Zidane USB. Poor Zidane. And I really like his USB too. TOO. I see a 24 aiming at a footnote. And I don't see a 24. So to Enliers we go. Wind damage, so it's a good relic. Wind damage plus 20%. Steiner LMR, bad because Steiner's bad. Kuja's LMR, very good. But again, on the other banner. Marcus's super, Pentabreak, don't really care. And Beatrix super is actually not bad. It's usable in the same way that Garnet's super on the first banner is. Hola, Nakrema. Anyway, yeah, it's my takeaway from these banners is that that future banner with Kuja, Vivi, and Garnet is it's where I'm looking towards rather than this. It's tough to find a banner where 100% of its 6 stars are good.